Hi everyone, welcome back. So, magical girls. It's a genre and trope that's been around since at least the 60s, with popular names like Sailor Moon and Madoka Magic being one of the most popular series of the genre up to this date. But what is magical girl? Well, according to Google, it's a subgenre of primarily Japanese fantasy media centered on young girls who possesses magical abilities, which they typically use through an ideal alter ego that they can transform into. Fandom.com expands on this by stating that these characters typically have their own designated color, weapon, and power, and these can of course vary depending on the theme of the anime. I have been watching magical girl type shows since I was a child, and some of the ones I remember are Winx, Little Witch Academia, Shujo Chara, Sugar Sugar Rune, and Star vs. the Forces of Evil. I do understand that some of the ones I mentioned aren't really anime, but we'll give them a pass for now since they do fit the genre. But for me, I really loved it when each girls in a magical group have aesthetic correlation with each other, but at the same time, each individual person is different, where they have their own theme or power that makes them stand out. When you have a group of female leads that vary in personality, style, and approach, it makes it easier for more types of audience to relate to at least one character and retain to watch the show. Anyways, I want to add to this obsession and turn the zodiac signs into magical girls. Remember, to fit the trope, they need to be young girls, so probably around the tweens and teens area. They need to have their own designated color, weapon, and theme, and they need to be in a group of other magical girls. So now that we've established the standards in how to make a magical girl, let's just get started. Because we have established that one of the standards should include the girls being in a group, I thought it would be easier if we group them based on their elements. Each zodiac signs can fall in one of 4 elements: fire, water, air, and earth. So to make this easier for me, we will group them in 3s in their designated elements. And today, we are starting with the fire signs: Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. When I was thinking for a theme for this group, I did struggle a little bit just because I didn't want to use the obvious fire being their theme. In fact, I want to avoid using their elements at all for all of my designs because it just gets a bit boring when we keep making Aries equals fire or Scorpio equals water. Instead, I was thinking of their individual personalities. All 3 signs are typically extroverted, but the extroversion is expressed differently. For example, Aries tends to be more confrontational and has a heads-on attitude when facing difficult situations. Sagittarius is a bit more passive and friendly, most have a treat thy neighbor how thy neighbor treats you attitude, and Leo is charming, social, and loves being in the spotlight. One thing they all have in common is that they all take action almost instinctively, and they love the feeling of excitement, and this made me think that these signs would definitely thrive in a more action type genre of magical girls. And what's more in theme with action than ninjas? I also grew up watching Naruto, so this was definitely an exciting idea. I would imagine that they would be in a ninja world where all of their abilities are colourful and cute, which deviates from the very cool and scary abilities that most ninjas have. The funny thing would be that these girls would be more powerful than the best ninjas despite their childish and skittle-like appearance. And speaking of their appearance, let's talk about Aries. For her outfit, I was inspired by Sakura Haruno's style. I think it's called a kipao, or it sort of resembles one. But I did make a lot of modifications, obviously, so it doesn't resemble much of a kipao anyways. The top part is more of a sleeveless kimono, and the bottom part includes the split that is common in short kipaos. I also added lots of frills, lace, and bows across the outfit because it's not really magical girl without those involved. In Naruto, I do see a lot of characters wear fishnets, and I never truly understood why, just because they didn't really offer much protection, but for the sake of the ninja vibes, I will be putting them in these characters as well. I did say they were all ninjas, but I want to be a step further and assign a fruit to them as well, so that they could be fruit ninjas.
Oh no, Ringe!
And of course for Aries, I think being a cherry ninja would suit her as well. For Sagittarius, I thought the grape ninja would be fun. Grape flavored sweets are also very popular in Japan, so I thought that it would make sense that I include them here as well. I did use the kapow as an inspiration for her dress as well, but again, I modified it to fit the magical girl theme. I gave her long sleeves and lots of frills and lace, no fishnets though, just because it didn't really suit her outfit. In terms of colour though, I went for a more warm peachy tone with some purple as accents. I primarily wanted all signs for this group to have warm tones for colours, so adding the purple was a bit of a risk, but I think it helped Sagittarius stand out. Lastly, for Leo, I went with a completely different style. Leos tend to deviate from trends anyway. They're trend starters, not trend followers, so oftentimes you would see them stand out. So instead of kapows and kimonos, I went with a modern street style outfit with a cropped long sleeve jacket, a shimmery skirt and leg warmers. Her outfit is a bit more reminiscent of the kawaii style fashion of Japan, but I added the fishnets to give the ninja vibes as well. I also thought it would be really cute if she resembled a cat to pay tribute not only to her sign being a lion, but also to Tokyo Mew Mew since the main character was also cat-like. And also for their weapons, I gave them all magical wands that can also be used as kunais, hence why you guys could see the magical wand-esque on their hands, but I also made the bottom bits of it sharper to resemble the kunais you typically would see in Naruto. So for Aries, it's the cherry kunai, for Sagittarius, it's the grape kunai, and for Leo, it's the dual orange kunai. She has two because she's special. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that for Leo, her fruit would be orange. I was thinking of lemon, but because of the way the fruit is shaped, I didn't really think that would be a suitable wand. Like, it wouldn't really make sense making the wand circular when it's a lemon. So I just went, because everyone else has a circular wand, so that the grapes are circles, the cherries are circles. So I just thought it makes sense if I just turn it into an orange. Actually, hold on, I'm really stupid. I could have turned that into yuzu. So yuzu, I think, is a type of citrus that's like yellow and round. So I could have made her theme like a yuzu fruit. But that's too late now to change it. We're just going to accept the fact that Leo is an orange and not a yuzu fruit. Now, for the next couple of minutes, I want to talk about how I would see the fire signs as a magical girl group in a ninja world. So I mentioned earlier that I see them more of an action genre type of magical girls, but I also think that a comedy would suit them as well. I think comedy would go well with anything, actually. Like, I could imagine the girls in this group being really chaotic. Like, all of them are really extroverted, so even having a leader in the group won't really make much of a change anyway. I think all of them will be out and about doing their own thing. Aries is out there just kicking ass, thinking, oh, if there's a villain, I'm definitely gonna kick their ass. She's very heads on. Sagittarius is more there for the vibes. I think she would definitely be sort of the mother of the group though. She would definitely be lecturing Aries, not trying to just go into a situation where it could be potentially quite dangerous facing on your own. And Leo's just there enjoying the attention, you know? I feel like Leo would definitely enjoy the perks of being quite a popular ninja magical girl, and she would exploit that a lot. She would definitely be the type of person that would go up to a restaurant and be like, don't you guys know that I'm one of the fruit ninjas? I think that if they were a TV show, it would be such a funny thing to witness, because they aren't typical magical girls that are all like, oh, friendship is magic, but it's more like all three of them at first will be about their own separate ways. They're all trying to make a name for themselves, and later on, you know, they'll figure out that it would be best if they work together, and that kind of funny part about them would make them quite charming to watch. But anyways, here's the complete design, and I hope you guys like them. The air signs are a bit of a hit or miss. All are naturally the go with the flow type of people, so they can be a bit unpredictable. And even though they all share the same element, their similarities aren't as obvious as the fire signs. For example, Libra loves being around people and they tend to be people pleasers. Aquarius tends to not give a crap, and Gemini is just in their own little world. So the way I want to represent their individuality is through a way where they could still be seen as a group, but make them vastly different from each other to a point where they are recognizable as individuals as well. And at first, I thought a theme with the 3 wise monkeys would be fun. So that's the see no evil, speak no evil, and hear no evil. But I just didn't think that this would really suit the signs, and the theme would make the signs a bit too similar to each other anyway. So instead, I opted for a Halloween theme because of how many monsters there are to choose from. Also, it still kind of falls under the magical girls theme, so it made sense to me. For Aquarius, I thought the witchy vibes would be fun. I was thinking of a mermaid at first, but witch costumes are by far one of the most popular costumes in England during Halloween. And since Aquarius are quite calculative, it makes sense for them to be a witch. I would imagine that they would need to be in order to make the right potions using the right amount of ingredients. Also, in a lot of folklore, witches tend to be quite solitary, which definitely fits into the kind of person Aquarius tends to be. I gave her a dark knee-length dress, kind of like what Kiki was wearing from Kiki's delivery service, and I put on an apron around her waist to keep her dress clean. A long fuzzy cardigan made sense as well, and Aquarius tends to value comfort, so it made sense to me. And instead of giving her a really big hat, I opted for a small cute one. I was also going to give all of the magical girls a wand, but I made an exception for Aquarius and gave her a magic broom instead. For Libra, I knew that they would definitely suit a vampire. In a lot of folklore and stories about vampires, it is implied that there's a certain allure to them that makes them likable. And since Libras are people persons, I thought that this particular fact would correlate with the way they get along with a lot of people. This reminds me a lot of how Draculaura is in Monster High. I think Libra would be a very friendly vampire, not really the mysterious and aloof type. And speaking of Draculaura, her design is very much inspired by her. I gave her a dress that kind of resembles Draculaura's dress in Monster High. But instead of frills, she has these spikes. I guess they kind of look like fins, and I didn't mean to make them like that. I just needed the design to be a bit more sharp to kind of show off that vampire vibe. And you guys will see in a second that I also gave her small bat wings. And I really wish I gave her bat ears as well, because that would have looked really cute. And of course, I gave her a wand as well. It's rose-shaped just because a lot of vampire animes involve roses, and I just thought it would be a really fun addition. Gemini gives me werewolf vibes, especially with the whole duality aspect of their sign. They're normally represented by twins, so I thought designing them as a werewolf that can change from human to animal during full moon would be a great representation of their sign. You guys will see later on that I also use the moon and stars across her design, and this is to really show off her werewolf side, which is why I also gave her shorts. I really wanted to show off her furry legs just because to me that is the most werewolf part of her design that makes her stand out from the other two. I'm not really good at drawing a lot of animal things or making people look like animals, I guess. But I really wanted to keep her quite cute, but give her something that says, oh, she is definitely a werewolf. So I thought giving her shorts and giving her kind of furry legs would make sense to me, just because I could tell you guys that she's covered in fur. But are you gonna see it? The answer is no. It's not really that obvious, is it? And that's the way I kind of had to deal with her design. I also did give her what what is it called? It's like a furry fluff on her neck area, just to kind of show, oh, she is fluffy, she is furry. Of course, I gave her the kind of wolf ears as well and the wolf tail, so I hope that that was sort of enough without having to turn her whole face into a wolf. But to be fair, I probably could have done that. But she just looks so cute and sassy like this. I love it. Anyways, I want to talk about how the air signs are going to be as a magical girl group. So I think for this particular group, it would make sense that they follow the typical friendship is magic kind of trope. I would imagine that Aquarius being quite solitary, they want to be left alone. I mean, out of all the air signs, I think Aquarius is the only introverted one. So it would be really funny to kind of see Aquarius just trying to be left alone. She just wants to get on with her life without anyone else. And Libra and Gemini are just there trying to force her out of her shell. I think Gemini would definitely be similar to Leo, where she loves the attention that being a magical girl would bring. And Libra, she would definitely be a bit more friendly. She's the kind of person that would be like, I became a magical girl so I can save the world. She's like a goody two-shoes, so I would imagine that she would be like that if she was in an anime. But here's all the air signs together. I hope you guys like them. So that's all I have for today. I really did want to draw all 12 zodiac signs in one video. Believe me, I did want to draw all of them and put them all in just one video, so it's much easier for you guys to watch. But these take so much time to draw, edit and shoot that it was a bit of a struggle, especially since I also work a full-time job. So I'm really sorry if your sign is not included for now, but I do promise that I will upload the next part in next week's video. But before you go, please do like and subscribe, as it really helps me out. And I'll see you all next Mango Monday. Bye!